Professor Andre Haughton. He is a professor of macroeconomics and international finance in the Department of Economics at the University of the West Indies, Mona. He specializes in macroeconomic engineering with a research focus on international economics and macroeconomics for small country development. He's a former senator and an International Monetary Fund distinguished fellow. He is KPMG Pete Maverick Scholar, Thomas Delarue Scholar, and a British Commonwealth Scholar. Bottom line is that he is a scholar and well suited for the conversation we're about to have now. I'll tell you more about Professor Andre Haughton as we go ahead. Basically, the International Energy Agency has said that has said that this is the greatest energy crisis, if you will, energy shock in history. Professor Haughton, I'm very happy to see you. Good morning. Oh, I'm not hearing you. Listen, is that you? Are you muted or is that us? Okay, brilliant. I'm hearing you loud and clear.
You hearing me now? Yeah, man, it's good to see you. Good to be able to speak to your listeners as well. Hope you're having a great morning.
Yes, and let me just tell our listeners, thank you so much, to please to go to YouTube, because Professor Haughton is usually on the phone. So go to YouTube and see what he looks like at 7:03. You're looking very handsome this morning, as usual.
Oh, thank you. So do you. Lovely lady.
Thank you so much.
Blessings to you.
Professor Haughton, what a time we're living in.
Yeah, it's serious times. It's serious times, and everyone must be able to understand what is happening now, because we are going back not just to 1944, but all the way to 1914, when World War I started. This year has a similar calendar, and if you understand how history unfolds, history repeats itself. It's never a thing where it happens once. It happens every 50 years. It happens every century. And we must be cognizant of what is taking place and how we are going to cope as a sovereign nation with everything that's going on globally.
You went all the way to 1914. And you talk about this a similar calendar. I noted that. Underscore that for us a bit, because I think that kind of went over some of us heads to say we are literally on the same calendar, if you will.
And it's remarkable because every 50, every 100 years the world repeats itself, and this calendar is the exact same calendar that was in 1914. And I mean, the events for war aren't necessarily the same, but they are very similar. And what is happening is that because Iran is so crucial to the oil basket of many countries, and because the Strait of Hormuz is so crucial to the oil basket of many countries, what is happening now is having spillover effects on a lot of countries who didn't bargain for what is taking place. So for those of us who don't know, the Strait of Hormuz transports between 20 and 25% of the global oil support on a daily basis. It accounts for over 20 million barrels of oil. And what has been happening now since the violence between them and the United States and their neighbors, only a few ships, mainly from China and India, have been allowed to pass through the strait freely. Yeah. A lot of the other ships that the world depends on have been stalled, and that has been having significant implications on the supply of oil, which has been having implications on the price of oil. So to note, yesterday we know that the price of oil has been over $100 a barrel, but yesterday we got news that if this continues, then the price of oil might reach $150 per barrel, and that's profound. We haven't seen oil go past $100 per barrel since 2022, and prior to that, we haven't seen oil go to $150 a barrel for a long time. Even in the global financial crisis of 2008, oil didn't reach so far. So
and this is why we're hearing that this is the greatest shock in history. Is it in history? Not 2008.
It's for a long time, because yes, 1973 and 1978. were very pervasive oil price shocks, and those shocks are significant, especially to us, because check this. Coming out of the 1960s, Jamaica had one of the most productive economies. When we started diversifying into tourism, we started diversifying into manufacturing, and we started diversifying into the production of bauxite. And when the first oil price shock hit in the 1970s, oil price jumped up the first time was by 30%, and then it continued to increase gradually and so on. But the importance of that shock is that when Jamaica had an increased oil import bill, we had to figure out how we're going to pay for it, right? Because we need foreign currency to purchase the oil that we need. Now, what normally happens is that we normally sell bauxite, get that revenue, and use that revenue to purchase oil. Now, what Manley did at the time was to increase the price of bauxite to match the increase in the price of oil, so that we don't feel the balance of payments effect. However, at the time, New Zealand emerged as a new bauxite producer. So, because New Zealand is a larger landmass, albeit their bauxite is not of the same quality as ours, but sometimes in the global marketplace, they're not just looking at quality, they are looking at price. So, New Zealand was able to price us out of the bauxite market, and as a result, we didn't earn enough foreign exchange from the bauxite in order to cover the oil purchases that we needed to make. And that was the first time when we went to the International Monetary Fund in a holistic way to say, look, our net international reserves is not sufficient in order for us to make these purchases of oil, and we need balance of payment support. So that was a significant point in our economic life, because we moved from a highly productive, very rapid, fast growth GDP country. At that time, GDP was growing by 9%, productivity growth by about 12%. So, the economy was picking up speed at the time. And that oil price shock derailed us, and we haven't recovered since. And that was over 50 years ago.
We haven't recovered.
No, we haven't
Over 50
recovered.
years ago.
Over
What
50 years ago.
what are you seeing in terms of how Jamaica is likely to be impacted now? Because we saw the price going up. Obviously, the Strait of Hormuz is still closed, and then we saw the lowering when the U.S. president said, "Okay, we're going to send some people and send a navy and escort them and close." And now we're waking up to him saying, calling on Europe to go and defend the Strait of Hormuz, and I will help you. So obviously this is we can understand the price shock, but what do you see for Jamaica economically? Because there's also a shift in the global economic order. So there are two things happening here. What's your prediction or prognostication, if you will, of what is about to hit Jamaica?
Remember, first and foremost, we're a tourism dependent nation, and tourists travel here by air or sea. And because tourists come here by air or sea, then these types of transportation are fuel dependent, and these fuel dependent transportation methods will see increase in costs. And whenever there's an increase in cost, then there's going to be a reduction in demand. Albeit on the flip side, because the Middle East has become unstable, then global travel to that particular area, or even in transit from that area, is going to slow down tremendously. And as a result, we'll have more tourists diverting towards the west, because it appears to be much safer. So that is how it looks from the tourism side. From the manufacturing side, our cost of production has gone up, which the cost of electricity has always been a problem for Jamaica's manufacturing. As you know, we charge about 34 cents per kilowatt hour, compared to China, 8 cents per kilowatt hour, America, less than 10 cents per kilowatt hour as well. But what it does, it puts the Caribbean basin into perspective to say, listen, who are my neighbors? what do they have? So it puts back focus on Trinidad and Guyana to say, what role are you playing in the Caribbean Basin Initiative? What role are you playing in CARICOM? What role are you playing in the CSME, which is the Caribbean Single Market and Economy? As Caribbean nations, together we have a stronger voice. Together we have a stronger backative. And I think that the Caribbean leaders need to come together, sit around a table, and put our differences aside and to zoom into the value of the region itself. And it's not just about we didn't accomplish referendum in the 1960s, so federation failed. It's listen, yes, it failed. What can CARICOM do to rectify that? And that is how we ought to look at it, because it doesn't make sense for our neighbors to have the resources that we need, and we have to go all the way to the Middle East and have to bear the bulk of those prices. If you think about the petrodollar and you think about the United States, you can recall Petrocaribe, which is our relationship with Venezuela, where Venezuela exchanged oil and we taught their citizens English at the university. So how that work? We didn't give them any money. They say, okay, we have 200 people who want you to teach English for X amount of time. We are going to pay you in oil. And it worked well because we had such a good relationship with Venezuela. And it's very unfortunate that because of our global geopolitical linkages with the United States in particular, we had to relinquish that particular relationship with Venezuela.
We sabotage
has replaced
ourselves.
it?
Yeah, exactly. We continue to sabotage ourselves to prove the United States point. This is the problem that we have, because we see a very similar thing happening with Cuba right now. This is very interesting. But you mentioned the opportunities, and the main one, or number one you listed, seemed to be tourism. I'm a little bit skeptical about that, because if this is a global energy shock, if this is a global incident or event, then the ability or capacity or capability of a tourist to travel, well, not that you can go to West Asia.
Yeah, so that is what I said. I showed you both sides of the coin, right? One side is that it's definitely going to become more expensive for them to travel.
Yes.
But the other side is that because the Middle East has gotten so unstable, then if tourists definitely want to travel, it is going to be in the Western hemisphere of the world. So it does not necessarily have to be Jamaica, but the Western hemisphere of the world looks more attractive now than does the East. And that's reality. But overall, where opportunities lie for us, energy diversification is going to become very important. It's not just lip service, and Jamaica has been presented with a wealth of opportunities where this is concerned, where wind is concerned, where solar is concerned, where even hydro energy is concerned, and we have not diversified. I mean, if you talk about the 1920s now, coming out of the World War One, America's economy.
Hang on there. We're going to pick up right there when we come back. Let me take a quick break, please.
Okay.
Critical illness has many faces. 1 in 4 people will be affected. Protect what matters with Sagicor Life Critical Illness Insurance. The time by Sagicor Life is
now 7:15.
When we hear full of smoke and the water brown, and the government quiet can't hear a sound when we speak up and them try shut me down. It's cause we step in for our rights. Okay, answers for the people, that's me want. Justice for the environment, that's me want. Nobody here see the river and the land. We have a right to talk, every Jamaican. Yes, cause we agreement good for all Jamaican. Forget the facts about the situation. For know we environment and participation. Better decisions and better regulation. As we have a right to a healthy environment. Nobody tell me say we can't. Environmental justice our slogan. No erosion, a good clean Jamaica we a program. Access for the people, that's me want. Justice for the environment, that's me want. Nobody here see the river and the land. We have a right to talk, every Jamaican.
The SCASO agreement seeks to ensure access to information, public participation, and justice for all Jamaicans. Brought to you by the UNDP Implemented Global Environment Facility Small Grants Program and the Jamaica Environment Trust.
G, you know say Mikey no come.
Hold on.
No, sir. That sound like consumption.
What that?
Tuberculosis, aka TB.
Now all time something that. After nobody not get that again.
I saw you think TB still the boat.
If you have a cough for more than 2 weeks with fever, night sweats, and weight loss, go to your doctor or health center and get tested now. Let's be vigilant and stop the spread of TB infections. A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Healing Streams. A moment of love, a moment of grace, a moment of His power. You can put your hand wherever you want this power to be manifested.
The free. No, I can't jump, I can't walk.
Healing Streams this March will be something like the world has never seen before. Get up and
March 13 to 15.
get ready.
Register at www.healingstreams.org.
Introducing the all-new Galaxy S26 series to Jamaica, where cutting-edge tech meets everyday life. Enjoy next-level performance with an immersive display and enhanced AI-powered cameras. Features like privacy display, nightography, super steady video, and circle to search will make your life easier. The Galaxy S series isn't just a phone, it's a leap in mobile AI innovation built for your fast-paced life. It's perfect for work, gaming, or creating. Discover the future of mobile technology. The Galaxy S26 series, designed for you, powered by AI.
It's hard-hitting, factual, and exciting. It's sports conversation like never before. What's the score?
9.58.
Every Monday night, 9 to 11 on the nation's #1 iriefm. Join us for riveting, unbiased, and open sports discussions. Get your views in.
Let's quickly take a call. Caller, good evening. Welcome.
Hear other point of view. What's the score? We have the stakeholders, the affected, the sidelined, the experts. Everyone is a part of this 2-hour sports talk.
Clayton going well. Personal best 10.76 for Tina Clayton.
Brought to you courtesy of Cecil's Auto Services Limited, 1-3 Fish Lane, Montego Bay. Telephone 876-298-3662 and 6 Lindsay Crescent, Kingston. Telephone 876-251-7225 and 876-358-5822. Cecil's Auto Services Limited. What's the score? Monday nights, 9 to 11 p.m. We have your front seat reserved.
That's huge. That's on the roof.
The biggest annual reggae party on sea will unfold April 1 to 6 as the Love and Harmony Cruise sets sail from Miami to Jamaica and back with one stop in the Bahamas.
Okay, folks, welcome aboard. We are now ready to set sail.
The exciting 6-day, 5-night cruise will see the likes of Barris Hammond.
Every time I think of saying goodbye,
Pinchers, Busy Signal, Maxi Priest, Romain Virgo, Agent Sasko, Tanya Stevens, Carlene Davis,
everybody needs a little help sometimes,
and Minister Marion Hall. Taking center stage. iriefm personalities parading in their school uniforms, PJs or lingerie, flag colors, shorts and shades, all whites, and even formal wear with masquerades will traverse the decks and halls of the Norwegian Joy as we give you up-to-the-minute info on the action on the cruise, both on radio and on all social media platforms as they unfold. Coverage of the Love and Harmony Cruise 2026 comes to you all courtesy of Tiles Are Us Limited, Balance Valley St. Elizabeth, for tiles, tools, and every household fixture. Call 965-1896. Lico Ochi Seafood Restaurant. Get all your favorite seafood done to order. Call 852-6430.
Digicel, better connected.
Boscobel Hardware, Stewarttown St. Mary, for all your building needs. Where every day is a sale day. Call us at 876-810-6986.
Calvin's Pharmacy, better health, better prices every day. 8 Peck Street, Linstead. Call 876-440-2108.
Queen Kamarla, promoting single Respect Me on all platforms. Follow her on IG at Queen_Kamarla_the_baddest and YouTube at Queen Kamarla Official 1983.
if you want me to be your number one, you gotta respect me, respect me.
Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited. Precision that powers Jamaican businesses.
Brown's Records promoting Heal This World Rhythm featuring Richie Spice, Lola Smiles, Turbulence, Chesedek, Luton Fire and more on all streaming platforms. Base 13 production promoting Ras Nego's new single Burkina Faso, distributed by Distro Kid and available on Spotify, Tidal, VPAL Music and all other streaming platforms.
A Burkina Faso, Africa rich and it a grow. Burkina Faso, yo, that's how we a go.
You know, I really love this song, Burkina Faso. You know, even the way tell the truth, Dr. Haughton, don't you? Even the way he's singing it, you know. That's the way I go. But just before we're speaking with Dr. Professor Andre Haughton, right? And we're talking about what the economists and the financial world is referring to as the greatest energy shock in history, and Professor Haughton is agreeing with that and talking us through history to understand where we are today. So, Prof, you were telling us about 1920s on the backside of World War I and connecting that to what happened in the United States. I interrupted there, so let's pick up from there.
Yes, so how economics normally work, it's normally governed by what we call classical economics. Now, classical economics says that there should be no government intervention. The market mechanism should determine how price allocate resources in the economy through demand and supply. However, coming out of World War I, the United States found themselves in a very depressed economy where they could not stimulate demand. Demand was low, output was low, and people were suffering. Businesses were closing left, right, and center. And that was what caused what we call the Great Depression of the 1930s, where poverty was pervasive across the United States and was having spillover effects on the world. Now, that gave birth to Keynesian economics, when John Maynard Keynes came in and said, listen, if the market mechanism is not working, then the government has to come in to help the economy to stimulate itself. And that gave birth to what we call expansionary fiscal policy. For the point of case, United States, Hoover was the president at the time, and they started rapid expansion in infrastructure, in railway, and the Hoover Dam was built at that time. And the point I am making is that in Jamaica, the government has to step up now and play a real role in how it assists in stimulating the economy through the building of key infrastructure that we need in order for the country to reignite its growth pursuits. And you played a song a while ago about Burkina Faso, and they have been very great in how they have approached their own macroeconomic management. Last week they came up with a $64 billion expansion plan. A lot of people were skeptical about their ability to see through this plan, but I am very confident in their ability because they have a real plan. And that is what Jamaica needs. We need politicians who...
We don't have a real plan, and I don't expect you to say much here in terms of what that plan should be, but give us an idea of what you're talking to. How could Jamaica go out? Is it too late though for Jamaica to go out in front of this, or is it never too late?
Never too late, because time is a continuous thing. So time is like a fictitious thing that the Romans try to count, but that's just counting time. Time is a never-ending thing. So when we go, other persons will come and replace us, and when they go, other persons will come and replace us. So throughout the course of history, there will always be new entrants after people exit this earth. And it's up to them to see what is happening in their time and how they should coordinate their resources to get the best output for their population at that time. Energy has been a big problem for us, and that is why we need a dam. Water distribution, water storage, water harvesting has been a big problem for us. And if you think about it, output instability, because agriculture, let's talk about agriculture. Everybody loves agriculture because everything comes from agriculture. Food, clothes, housing, everything comes from agriculture. So everybody love agriculture. But Jamaica has not been able to do well in agriculture since we came out of sugar and cotton. So you notice that when we were slaves, agriculture was done on a large scale basis. So you had 10 sugar farm, 10 cotton farm, and those were the focus of the economy, right? Now, coming out of slavery, what happened was those large farms were fragmented and they were distributed to people in very small portions, but it wasn't done in a coordinated way. For example, I say to you, okay, Kabu, okay, I'm going to give you guys 5 acre, 5 acre, 5 acre, but all of you are going to still produce sugar. At the end of the year, we're going to collect the sugar that the 20 of you produce. We're going to still sell it in the same way so we make the same money. No, it went that you know with your 5 acre, you split it up, give 5 children, each of them have an acre. They themselves now on that acre produce 1/8 of an acre of tomato, 1/8 of an acre of scallion, 1/8 of an acre of onion, and so on and so forth. So the collective economies of scale that we normally benefited from our sale of these agricultural crops to the global economy, albeit England got wealthy off it, etc., etc. And many people say because it was slavery. Yes, it was slavery, but slavery came at a cost because they still had to feed the slaves. It's no different now from the minimum wage that people receive when they go to work. It's the same thing. It's instead of giving them food and shelter, you give them tuppence that even cannot purchase food or shelter. So it's even worse when you look at it. So that's not the excuse. The excuse is how coordinated is our efforts as a collective body.
But the question is also why? Because all these years, and we have not managed to at least to innovate where agriculture is concerned. A country like Jamaica should have been able to do that. So there's a why there. And then, is this why connected to this very same Bretton Woods institutions that we have signed on to? Are there, is this deliberate? There has to be something behind.
Yeah, man. If you watch a documentary with Michael Witter, Life and Death, and it spoke of our agricultural industries and the sabotage.
Stephanie Blank's documentary.
Yes, we came under a lot of sabotage in the 1970s, especially as it relates to our dairy industry and so on and so forth. We were flooded with milk powder, etc., etc. But innovation, as you speak, is a sovereign thing where collectively we must realize who we are and what we need to do. Our coconut came under sabotage, as you know, that disease that blow all of the coconut off the top, just left the stalk and so on and so forth. The white flies now here, or banana at some point in time came under sabotage, or citrus. So we've come under a lot of sabotage, but albeit, how have we diversified in order to cope? Because greenhouses help to prevent a lot of these things. So, as I say, we have not been innovating to correct the sabotage. We've just succumbed to it.
I think we diversified into tourism and into the worst kind of tourism that any Caribbean country could find themselves tied to. And now the tourism industry is singing the praise that we are. There are opportunities out of disasters like Melissa, and so we're going to go into creating a Martha's Vineyard in St. Elizabeth, boutique industry, private jets. Somebody's mad like Sean, because this is, to me, this is egregious, if you will. So and the next thing we got from the tourism industry is that. Yeah, the war in Iran, which is, from all indications, is World War III. We are going to benefit from that. Tourism is going to benefit from that. What kind of damn foolishness is this? I think that we are totally out of our senses, of our rockers, the way we're dealing. You mentioned water. And we have Professor Shepherd in the room to talk to in a minute in the waiting room. But you mentioned water. This is a year of water according to the World Economic Forum, according to the Africa Union.
It's a blue year.
It's a blue year. They're having water conferences all over the world. But Jamaica is privatizing its water sources, its fresh water sources, and denying access to the Jamaican people, and privatizing its salt water sources and denying access to the Jamaican people. What? I'm so sorry that I'm getting so upset. But
No, you have to, you can, because it shows emotion, and emotions are real because you have care and concern. And as a country, and I was discussing last week with my students, the reason why China is where it is today versus other countries is that the founding members of the Chinese Communist Political Party were majority wealthy people. So in China, you are the wealthy Chinese and the smart Chinese who care about the rest of China and decide that they are going to lead their nation into freedom. In Jamaica, the wealthy people see the place as a bird bush. So they see the economy as something to exploit, not something to develop. So you get to find out that the wealthy, and when people become bright like myself, we assimilate education, we tend to turn our backs on the rest of the population because we are okay. I can buy a BMW, I can buy a Mercedes Benz, I live in a decent house, I can send my children to private school. If they get sick, I can send them to America. So I don't really care. And that is the approach that many middle class Jamaicans take. So they don't contribute towards the human capital development of integration of the country, where we can all collectively come together and say, listen, we need to lift ourselves up by our own bootstraps and to help the poorer class of people to understand the importance of them playing a role into the real economy. And that is the major difference between us and China, because in China, the 49 members of the founding members of the CPC were 42 of them were affluent people. But the affluent in Jamaica don't see the need for the country itself to advance because they themselves has already advanced, and they need that disparity to feel good about themselves.
Neoliberalism and capitalism wrapped up all
exactly.
in one.
Exactly.
My brother, I'm going to invite you back to talk because we haven't looked at, we raised a point, but this there's also this transition to this new economic model with the digital currencies and so on, that I hope you come back and talk to us about that next week.
Yeah, I have a book that I'm writing on that as well, so we have a lot to talk about.
All right, brilliant. So I'd really like for you to come back and for us to flesh this out. I think it is urgent enough, so if you have the time, please come back.
Yeah, man, definitely. And have a wonderful day, and keep up the great work as well. Keep up the advocacy. I admire you a lot.
Thank you. Me too. Same. It's mutual. Thank you so much, my brother, Dr. Andre Haughton.
Africa must wake up, you know.